So what am I here about today? I'm here about the greening of business, this huge trend, massive force moving through society. And I wanted to start with just a little bit of history. How do companies think about the environment? How have they thought about it for 20, 30 years? This precious environment of yours is expensive to maintain. I think that's the typical attitude. And a lot of people, if we did the secret vote, that would be a good secret vote question. Do you basically agree with this? And I don't think people should be embarrassed. It's been the sense that environment is expensive. It's about compliance, maybe something beyond that at times, but it's mostly an expense. This is actually an improvement in a lot of ways over where we were 30, 40 years ago. Security, there's a tree in my office. This is one of my favorite cartoons. The idea that the environment is an invader. I mean, it really has nothing to do with business, and certainly has nothing to do with the upside and competitive advantage. But that's changing right now, and changing fast. And change is a big theme of my talks and the work that I do. This is a quote from Charles Darwin, 150 years ago. It's not the strong or the smart that survive, but those who can respond to change. And we're changing very fast right now. The very planet is changing faster than we ever thought possible. So this is an unusual time for business. But change brings opportunity. And those who can take advantage of it will win. So how are companies creating value? Okay, so there's all this pressure. We have to get going. How are they creating value? Well, I see 4 big buckets of value creation from environmental thinking. 2 are about reducing the downsides to the business, lowering cost and lowering risk. And 2 are the upside. This is where people are getting excited over the last year. Hey, there's revenues to be had. And there's intangible value, this brand value that's very hard to measure but is vital. I mean, for a lot of the people in this room, brand value is probably a big part of your total company value. Now, when people talk about innovation, as I said, as a theme, they usually are thinking about new products and revenues. You know, I actually believe that innovation is important to all 4 of these. That a company like 3M that has been cutting costs using eco-efficiency for 30 plus years, that's innovative, to keep finding ways to cut costs. So let me turn to the branding side. Now, this is my favorite story here is about eco-imagination. Everyone's seen these ads over the last couple years. They have dancing elephants and sexy coal miners, and they're pitching their green. Now, this is a revenue story. They're obviously trying to sell more product. But why do I think of this as a brand story? Well, this is a typical kind of ad that they've run. And it shows a jet engine, okay? Now, let me show you a list of everybody who can buy a jet engine. This is all of them. Do you have your pens out? Did you get that? So you make a new jet engine, you call up Bob and Pierre, and you say, we've got a jet engine, it's better. Why do you need an ad in Time magazine? Why do you need a TV ad? The other thing they pitch is locomotive engines, which probably 4 people buy. You know, why? Well, it's for building the brand, so that when we go into Walmart and we're picking a CFL bulb off the shelf, we're going to pick the GE one. Because let's face it, brand building is about driving revenues, right? I mean, it's not building brand for the heck of it. You're building it for value. So this is a brand story. The other thing that companies do that I find really fun is they set big targets, fun targets. Sometimes it's zero waste, which is not very sexy, but you get it. And then what Toyota did a couple years ago that I really liked, the president of Toyota said, we want to build a car that can get across the continental US in 1 tank of gas. That's pretty visionary, right? You get it right away. Okay, I see. If you're an engineer, you can see what do you got to build. And it's pretty good because, you know, currently if I took my Prius from where I live in Connecticut, I'd get to about Columbus, Ohio. That's pretty good. That's very good considering if you took the same number of gallons and put it in a Hummer, you'd get out of the driveway. just barely. Now, is this a fad? I get this question all the time, so I decided to start making it like part of my talk. Is this a fad? You know, I don't know. I can't see the future. There's a fad in some sense in the bubble of media coverage. There's only so many covers you can do. But I usually say this, look, even if you don't totally believe that the planetary pressures are real, which is what would keep it fundamentally from being a fad, or resource constraints, even if you don't buy that. As Walmart and others discovered that they can lower costs, make their employees happy, attract and keep customers, keep their communities happy, keep their license to grow and operate going, why would they go back? So who cares if it's a fad? It's a better way of doing business. It's fundamentally a better way. So where does all this leave us? Now, when I speak to college audiences, I get like a 50-50 hit rate on knowing who this is. So I'm praying that you guys all know. When I was in Europe talking to Shell executives, they used an acronym, TINA, that I really liked. And it wasn't this TINA, I used that for fun. What they were saying was that there is no alternative. They were talking about dealing with climate change and biodiversity and all these issues that are driving the challenges to digging up the energy we all need. This is true for every business. There's no alternative anymore. This is where we're headed. So you can either compete or you can lag behind.